What is going on, everybody? Welcome on into today's live stream. We are live looking at Palantir as of right now, but we also we've got a green day in the markets. The S&P is up about 0.38% here. SPY not at new all-time, or not new highs of the year yet, but close. QQQ is up 0.84%, pretty similar deal in terms of where it's at relative to last week's highs. And then IWM, new high of the year, hitting not of the year, almost, we're close. New high of the past couple of months on IWM, but also DIA, the Dow, just perking up and testing, broke above briefly, pretty much sitting right at that level for its new high of the year. So here we are on a Monday, July 17th, and stuff is continuing to stay strong as we gear up for earnings season. That's starting this week, I think, in a big way, and we see some bigger names coming out as the week progresses. And then next week is the big week. We've got the Fed hike, which I think is baked in pretty well. We've also got the continuation of earnings through a lot of large cap tech names that have been leading the market this past couple of months, and it should be interesting. So in terms of, I'll mention this now at the beginning. In terms of new swings, I'm testing out a new strategy. It's not very large. It's very much a similar strategy to my day trade strategy, except I'm expanding into additional stocks, and I'm trying to see if that is a good idea or not via the weekly charts and the daily charts, and looking at swing trades based off of those. So one of them is DI. I mean, it's actually not DIA, but it's based off the Dow. So looking to play a break here on UDOW, which is the 3X ETF off the Dow, essentially. So playing that with a stop loss, it's going to be a shares trade, so no options involved here. Well, with that said, my stop loss will be pretty decent. This is actually going to be, I think, a new all-time, no, not necessarily all-time highs. Let's see what the risk reward looks like from where it's at right now to a stop loss right here. I think we can see, actually, let me go back to the Dow. The Dow's chart is where the trade's being based off of. So I'm using UDOW as the vehicle of choice, but it's going to be off the Dow. So stop loss will be here, which will be about 3% downside on the Dow. So sub 10% downside. I think worst case scenario, 10% downside on the stock UDOW. I don't want to say that all-time highs is the target, but I don't think that's unreasonable. It's only 2.3 R, away, risk reward multiple away. I don't think that's unreasonable as long as it holds. I will take profits accordingly though. So I'm looking to risk about $10. So as we approach $10 up on DIA, I will begin taking profits. So first profits will most likely be coming off as we hit this level right here around 355. 360 probably a good spot, 360, and then maybe even all-time highs. So we'll see if we get it. And then the stop loss is going to be here, whether it's all the shares or whether it is a fraction. For example, if we were to push up, take profit, then I can move my stop loss to break even. I probably will keep it at where it's at for now. It could be a fractional stop. We'll see. But that's the plan. So it's a swing trade off of that, and more so testing the strategy for now. So I'll have more data. It's going to be a video, some point, months down the road to report back once I have. It's going to take a while to gather enough data on this though. So I'm going to be testing a couple different things. So we got the Dow using a leverage ETF on the shares. Then we've also going to play options to see which one makes the most sense, risk reward, which one I can play off the best. And then see what the win rates look like and all that stuff. The next one is PLTR. I'm entering this one. Stop loss on this one's going to be at 1625. Have an alert there. I'm going to be playing options on this one because when I play options on this, I think the risk reward can be greatly in your favor by playing out of the money options. With some time, Palantir has earnings, I think the week of, what is this, the 9th through the 11th is the Friday. So I have options that expire on the 4th of August. So it goes out like this week, next week, and the week, there's 3 weeks. So 3 trading weeks until that expires, until the expiration of these. So Palantir on the daily, breaking out to new highs of the year, very strong. Either it's going to have a false breakout and it's going to stop me out pretty quick, which will be underneath here, and I'll be out, and it is what it is. And you'll be able to salvage, ideally I'll be able to salvage some of that. So it won't be like you're losing 100% of your option position. I bought 20 calls out for August 4th. Or Palantir is going to have, a $2, $3 move, and it's going to push 1920, and the contracts are going to go 2, 3, 400%. And I'm going to lock in gains 100% plus. I'm going to lock in half, and then I'm going to leave that additional half to go crazy. It really is, realistically, the idea is to start taking profits at 300, 400%, and see how I can kind of manage something like that to see if it because the idea here is that, a 40% win rate, but if you're risk reward and you're looking for crazy and you get some crazy moves of a couple 100%, that can cancel out that, sub 50% win rate in a big way. So we'll see. So those are 2 tests that we're running in the background. I'm running them in the Roth IRA account just because I'm like, I kind of got nothing else to do in this account. I had a swing trade on XLI in there that I just took profits on. I think it's still fine. It's still very valid to hold this. I don't say luckily, but I ended up taking profits as it hit like just shy of 110 on this, as it was a nice break to the upside. And then I think I played the break. Well, I know I played the break right here. So I was in from like 104, 105 area up to about 110. And I played the 3X ETF on XLI, which was DUSL. So that was the deal. So that's what we're looking at least I'm looking at into the coming weeks. Is it a risk? Yeah, with earnings season. Yeah, but I think Palantir, small caps growth being pretty strong. Palantir not having, I'm not holding through earnings there. So through Palantir specific earnings, obviously you can hold, the market could hit a rough patch if the market pulls back. And that's probably going to, probably mean the trade will be a wash. I think DIA has legs, as in this is a bigger picture, like let it work type of situation, because this trade, realistically, like you can have a couple days of downside off bad earnings. If the next week is what the case, it could still fall into a higher low and then eventually go for more if it's going to go. So the Palantir trade got to be a little more, closer to pay attention to. This one, not as much. I have alerts set. Either way, the alerts are set. I'll get the notification on my phone if I got to exit, and that's it. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing in the meantime. While I hit the beach next week. But yeah, that's the deal. Gold kind of struggling. Let's take a peek at gold. I don't think it's a massive concern in my opinion, because the dollar is still weak. Gold's flat on the day. It hasn't been as strong as silver, but nothing to be, I think worried about. I think they need to pull back. They need to consolidate at least. Doesn't have to necessarily pull back. It just, consolidate, I would think. Let's check on the dollar though. The dollar's slightly down today. It's down like 0.13%, not much on DXY. If this continues to break down on the downside, you would expect, further strength in gold and silver. Where I would be more concerned is if this does continue to push down and then we start seeing gold and silver falling off. Then I'm like, oh, okay, that's not great in terms of strength. But they're fine. I think they're fine for now. The 10-year, down about 1% today. This would be, as I was saying last night on the stream, under 3.7 is not a good look. That would confirm, I would say, a false breakout, break back down, probably send us down into this area, very likely. Unless there's news or whatever that could send us, that could do whatever it wants at the end of the day. But that's what I'd be concerned about. Let me go to look at these hourly charts and see what SPY looks like. Yep, SPY's coming up to Friday morning highs. It's very close. QQQ, very similar deal. IWM, this is the miss. I had a miss on this. I didn't trade this today, but I had this line from last week, the highs of last week, that's been here for a while. And I was watching IWM. I was watching it like right here. And I was like, to be honest, I'd like it a little bit higher to take the trade. Didn't take the breakout to new highs, which would have been a nice trade here too. Didn't take it, and then in looking back, it would have been really good. But it is what it is. I ended up taking AMD. Believe it or not, I took AMD short today. AMD's come back like a beast. But this morning, it didn't look great, and it was a one and done. So I took this trade, and it was it. And actually, it was only a partial take profit, so it really wasn't that big of a win. It was a pretty small win, but we had this massive move on Friday, came back essentially. Like, I would like to see if this move, like for this move to be strong and be good, right? You know, okay, cool, big move, back test, you know, come back and start to bounce. It did it kind of just came up and then said, no, we're gonna just come straight down, and it came right down. So I like the weakness on it. It was the weakest stock that I trade, or the weakest name on my large cap list as of this morning, compared to, you know, the Nvidias, Tesla, Apple, all that stuff, Metas. Now it's not. It's up 2%, and I played the breakdown here under the first candle low because it stayed weak, stayed under VWAP, stayed weak, played the breakdown underneath this blue line. We got about a 15-20 minute move to the downside. So I ended up having a 2/3 profit take. So 2/3 of the position hit my profit target, and then it reversed, and the last third stopped me out break even. So it was fine, but you know, and I was not super surprised by that too. Because like when I look back, I zoom out and I'm like, was this a really high quality trade? Not really. You know, yeah, you have weakness there, but technically speaking, you still got higher lows. Until you take out this, you know, this recent higher low, you can't necessarily. I would prefer not to trade the backside. So that's where my head was at. But it worked. I'm not going to complain, and I'm going to walk away from it, and we'll come back tomorrow and see what's up. Tesla broke out to this high in pre-market. Yeah, it broke out to this high of the year in pre-market. It was this 285 level. That's a spot. Broke out in pre-market, hit 292, and now it's so the thing is, Tesla is you're getting a big move prior to earnings. You know, you're getting this. The more everyone knows, oh, you know, Tesla, dude, I don't know. I have no idea. Whatever happens, happens. You know, you're going to hear a couple levels I got marked. Next spot is like 315. 300 is a psychological area, but like, beyond that, below that, 265, and then 235, maybe even down 217 could be some spots. I'm just curious how the earnings are going to come out. I'm curious how the reactions are going to be to a lot of these different stocks through earnings. I was seeing, you know, some posts and some people talking about, yeah, well, this move in the dollar, this move down the dollar is going to be good for earnings and stuff, and yada yada. So we'll see how the market reacts. You can have your speculations at the end of the day. Doesn't matter unless the market does what you think it's going to do, right? So I much prefer to react based off of that after the fact than try to guess where Tesla's going to go post earnings. So either way, you're going to get some nice covered call premiums if you're selling covered calls on that stuff. If you wanted to, juicier premiums this week. So that's good. Tesla does what it wants. Yeah. It's a green day. Back in the day, man, that was, I remember it was like, I don't want to throw it back that far, but I remember I'm pretty sure I was in elementary school when Green Day was hot. Green Day was hot when I was in elementary school, for those of you who are who want to take it back that far. But believe it or not, I'm actually going to be turning 25 in like 2 days. 2 days away, which is also kind of crazy to think about. I kind of like to pretend that the birthday doesn't exist anymore, because once I got into the 20s, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Keep it at 19 would have been fine. I don't know why it's my obsession, but that's what I've always said the past couple of years. Wish I was turning 19 again. What's going on, Flippa? Great future trade. MES. Nice. 15.25 point win. That's cool. That's awesome. 4 to 5 hours to play out. Well, you know what? The thing about futures, the cool part about it is that it doesn't matter. Like, you don't have to worry about time decay. You can set your stops if you want to set your stops and just let it go. And you know what I mean? You don't have to worry, which is like one of those things that I think that you get antsy, and it makes you get antsy when you play options. It's like, hey, like this needs to happen like kind of soon, because if it doesn't, then, you know, I'm going to get decayed. I don't know how much decay I'm going to get, blah, blah, blah. You know, you're not looking at the Greeks, or you're not paying close, you know, then you're sitting there like, kind of sweating a little bit for almost no reason. Well, not no reason, but there's good reason. But then the futures, you don't have to worry about that stuff. It just let the charts play out. The lines are the lines, the targets are the targets, the stops. That is it. Check out XBI today. XBI is up 2% roughly. So XBI, this could be another trade to watch for a swing idea. I would consider it for the strat. I've been more so playing horizontal breaks. So I don't know if I want to add a trend line break into there, but it could be something to throw in and see if we can gather some data on. But the good news about XBI, if we take a peek at it, right? Notice the volume. Look how much volume this thing had, right, on the big move down. And now it's kind of in this, like, generally speaking, like, volume is starting to fade out on it as of late. So if volume starts to perk back up and it breaks out of this trend, boom, this could be a nice move up into the 100 area. So that's what we'll be watching for a while. I would be curious to see if that were to happen, if it breaks out of that downtrend. You kind of got faked out almost on the last one, but over $90, I think is a pretty good shot for, you know, over 90, you have I would say a nice 10-point, you know, target to the upside on a break of this pattern. Either let it hit my take profit or stop. Yeah, I mean, you can walk away too, you know, no matter what. You know, the thing that I find though is that, like, it's very easy to want to come in and move them, right? So I have found there's a blend. It's like it's an interesting kind of way I look at it, because I'm like, there's times where, like, if I'm in something and it's like playing out for longer than I thought, you know, if I leave if I'm on an option trade, if I leave my stop loss at the original stop loss point, that's now going to be a lot larger of a loss potentially than I thought, because of time decay. If you're playing weeklies, if you're playing, you know, monthly contracts or 2 weeks out, not as big of a deal. But either way, like, if you're in there for an hour or two, there could be some good decay in there. And so then, like, do you want to move it up? And the reason why you'd move it up is because, okay, the market's moved in your direction. So now a break under this level would now invalidate the trend, blah, blah, blah. So you could do that. I go back and forth. And I feel like there should be more. I have to build out more of a systematic way to handle that, because I'll be in something. Maybe it's it's after 30 minutes, maybe, or it's after 1 hour of being in a trade. Maybe it should be. I can go back and double check, you know, when those situations are occurring. It's not super often, but I notice it happen a lot. So it's like, do you move the stop up? Like, let's just say, like, for example, like XBI. Let's say that you had XBI and you were in this thing, right? And you bought it like somewhere in here, and you were like, okay, my stop loss is going to be here, right? Now time has gone on. This is played out over the course. So let's just call this. Let's pretend this was like a daily, a 5-minute chart, and now time has gone on. XBI is currently here. You're up, but your take profit maybe is, like, you know, up here, for example. And you're like, well, my stop loss is down here. Do I keep my stop there now that time has gone on? You know, it's been a while. Do I move my stop loss to here, right, to minimize the downside? And you could. The problem is that now that's a higher likelihood of being hit potentially, and then it's still going to your take profit ultimately. So that's just, I think, through data and through finding what works best for you. But then also, I think, just let the data drive that. So if you're finding that, you know, 60% of the time, you know, it's going to your ultimate take profit, but you're getting stopped out too early, by moving your stop loss up, you're getting stopped out and then you're missing it. Then that's telling you, okay, then don't do that 60% of the time. You're going to be right. So leave the stop loss at the original stop point, because a dollar for dollar, that's going to end up netting you a better gain over the course of months and doing that. So what else is moving today? We had oil going down. Oil was down. Yeah, oil's down 1.5%. Yeah, we were saying oil last night. Oh yeah, straight out. So I think we're looking at oil and we're like, ideally, you'd want to see oil kind of find some support on a higher low in here. It's entering the area now. So, like, you don't want to see it drop much below 73. That would not be good. That would not be a good look for bulls. So we'll see. Truflation, check it out today at 2.24. Came in today, or that's their number for today. Still pretty low. Still pretty low. Options definitely a lot more tricky. Time decay. Yeah. Yeah, with the future stuff, you literally can take the trade in and walk away, because your orders are set and you don't have to worry about it. That's what's nice about it. Also, OCO orders, one cancels the other. Like, if you are on a broker that doesn't have that and you're trying to, like, be a little more, I don't know, hands off and do multitask, or do, like, if you don't have time to sit in front of a chart, but you trade on larger time frames, you know, 10-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute charts or more, nothing super zoomed in, then, and you're at school, work, whatever, it makes it so much more difficult to, if you don't have OCOs, it makes it so much more difficult. Because like the problem is that let's say you enter a trade, for example, let's say you enter crude oil right now, right? And you can put a stop loss on it, right? But many brokers will say, okay, you have a stop loss. You cannot put a limit sell up here because you already have an open stop loss order. You can't have two orders that are sell orders. So you need to have an OCO where essentially you enter this one and this one at the exact same time. And it's once one of them hits, the other will cancel. So then you don't have to worry. And then they'll allow you to do that. So I think that's an order that probably should be part of most people's strategy to some degree. It doesn't have to be, but if you want to have the ability to walk away and then literally like you make the decision ahead of time, you walk away and then you can literally close out of your platform and walk and like literally come back at night and check in. That's going to be like, if you think about it, like seriously, that's going to be the most effective way to gauge your strategy, because you're not going to have any human interaction or human emotional decision making or changes in your original idea at all. You have the plan, you have the strategy, you take the trade, you literally could take it and walk away, come back at the end of the day, and then see what happens. See what hit, if it got stopped out, if it filled, whatever, take profit hit, and then, okay, chart or journal that, write down, what happened today, blah, blah, blah. People will argue against that because then you're missing out on screen time and stuff. But if you're finding yourself constantly like tweaking and editing your orders all the time, yeah, it's not a bad idea. So yeah, I didn't do anything in the old Robinhood account today. There is, oh yeah, Soxel's pushing up even more. Jeez, man, I think it's a beast. I got my SQQQ hedge still. That's chilling. TOT, BITO. Yeah, it looks like, oh, BITO is down. Looks like Bitcoin's down. Yeah, Bitcoin's fallen back under 30K. I'm not super surprised by that. I wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin pulls one of those, the same moves where like it has like some sort of weird and then just goes, I wouldn't be surprised if it pulls something like that. That's kind of what I'm almost, I don't want to say expecting, but that's what I'm thinking we're going to get. We'll see though. On it, I'm not selling a covered call on BITO until we get up in here. Once we get up in there, then I will be totally doing that. Oh shoot, SPY is ripping right now. Jeez, what is going on? Let me go back to that SPY chart. What is going on here? A 5 minute. Just launched. It just launched to a new high of the year. My God, look at that. Holy crap. What is going on? I don't see any news. I don't see any news right now. I just see just a massive breakout on SPY. To new high of the year. There you go. Caught it there. SPY at a new high of the year. Going into earnings, how do you feel about that, right? That's the question. Going into next week. Going into that don't think mode, I think that's a great way to actually judge a strategy. You know what I mean? Like if you want to like practice a strategy or test a strategy, you ideally want to do that on or at night, pre-market, post-market, or on the weekends, and then have alerts go off. You enter the trades as you plan them out when everything was closed and quiet, no one's influencing you at all, right? And then you come back at the end of the day, the week, the month, and you can now have all this data of like what worked, what didn't work, and you can really kind of objectively look at it and say, okay, what's the data telling me? Or like what's going on? So bought some KRE a couple weeks ago for long term, sold today for the KRE, the thing with KRE, right, that had a big move if you think back to if you timed that one nicely, right? It's up into like an area of resistance. I'd be concerned, I guess up until 45 area. Like this is a spot that I could see resistance. If it breaks through, could be popping to the 50s. I think very doable, but they pay a nice dividend too, 3.5%. Not a terrible hold either. But yeah, SPY's come back down. I'm not surprised. Pop and drop, pop to new high of the year and then fall. But it's a big move. Big move, man. So here's that daily on SPY. Not a bullish engulfing, but almost kind of looks like one. Almost. So next spots to watch. What are we thinking here? I think 40, not really 460. Yeah, I mean 460 area. I mean, why? We have a double top high right here back from, I guess, this is back to January. I mean, I don't know, January, February of last year. How much is this going to matter, like in the grand scheme of things? I don't know. And then that was around 458 on SPY. And then SPY came 462, which was the highs of March on that rally. So those are the next two levels I'll mark. I mean, outside of earnings being, a catalyst to the next 2 weeks, I don't know, like, that would be the next logical spot of resistance. If we're thinking like where should we potentially, or where could we pull back from, that would be a logical area in my view. But like, you zoom these charts out and like there really isn't a ton of volume resistance to rip through. You really did again, the volume resistance thing, the volume profile has been pretty cool to watch, right? Because I think what's cool about it is that what we're able to see is that when you see things like this, right, doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to get rejected there. I think you're going to more so see choppier action. You're going to see some consolidation if you're moving up or down, maybe some support or resistance into those levels. But like that to the exact, dollar amount, I don't think matters as much. It's more so the area. And so you saw, not that we really had a lot of consolidation, but you saw the latest large volume node, if you will, or larger volume node was this top one. Not that we had a lot of consolidation, but we had, a pop up, pull back, and it took a couple of weeks to kind of get through it. Now we popped through, boom. So there you go. This one right here was a really strong one, right? We had traded in this range so much over the past, or traded in this price range so many times over the past like year or two. And we really struggled to kind of break out of this. This was consolidation for like 3 or 4 weeks on the S&P. So that's what it kind of just shows. Like, and nothing insane. Like, it's not like it's like the perfect indicator, like, oh my gosh, it's like to the pinpoint you can sell here, buy here. No, it doesn't. It's not like that, but it just shows you that we don't really have a ton. You go to the weekly chart now. Let me zoom this in a little bit more. You don't really have a ton of volume resistance until your next like really, or I guess bigger spot is like 469. So like upper 460s. Maybe there's a little bit right here where it's at right now, 450s, and there's a little bit more in the upper 450s. Then there's not much until 467 to 469, 470. But like overall, right, compared to what we've already gone through, right, this is, descending volume. So this is not going to be, these levels of resistance are not, based off that theory, are not going to be as hard to pop through compared to some of the ones we've already popped through. So we'll see. But that's just what the charts are looking like as of right now. What's going on, Kyle? This week it's going to be like a scramble, like it always is. I feel like, because I'm going to be going away next week, so like being with family and stuff, I want to have to do no work at all. But I have a lot of things that I have to do ahead of time that need to get done so that I could do that. So it's just like nonstop, but it's all good. It's all good. And then we're still like, I had hurt my leg. I don't know if I want to say it was shin splints or stress. I have no idea. I don't think it was shin splints because a lot of the things that the different symptoms I was experiencing didn't really line up, but who knows? But I was pushing myself running wise up towards essentially from 0 miles a week to 30 miles a week, which 30 miles a week to people who are like really experienced is not that much. But for someone who's brand new into that, in a span of like 3 months or 2 months of going from 0 to 30, that's a lot. So the body couldn't handle that apparently. And it told me through various random pains in my right leg. So I decided to take off running for a bit until August, because I think that would be the most effective way to recover properly. Next week's going to be great because I'm not going to be pushing myself even. I'm still lifting weights and stuff because that doesn't affect things. It's more so just the pounding of running. So we're going to give it some time to totally recover and hope that we're good to go come August, because then we've got August, September, October. We have 3 months, and then the race, the ultra marathon, is November 4th. So it'll still give me 3 really good months. I'm still doing cardio, just elliptical and stuff. So I'm still working the cardio. I think my cardio will be fine. I'll have to take, a nice, easy, ease back up into it. But that's the other stuff that's going on behind the scenes. Still doing that in the background. That's going to be fun. I'm still like, honestly, it's a weird thing. I will say, maybe it has to do with the new dog. From a mental clarity, if you will, standpoint, I think that running has substantially or does substantially improve mental clarity, at least for me. Like, it's not even close. Like, I don't think I will stop, because even if it's just going out for like 2-3 miles, that by itself, like, is like a great, I think it's just a great, you can just not freaking think about anything, or you can think about whatever you want, but you can just get out there by yourself, do your thing, and just sweat it out. And then you're back and you're set up, ready for the day. Boom. Too hot to run. Yeah. I mean, realistically here, it's too hot to run for many people, and I would not recommend running longer distances. But if you're going to go out at 6 a.m., dude, it's okay. It's 75, 80 degrees, 85, a little humidity. That's nothing bad. The sun's not beating down. Take water, take electrolytes. You're fine. Just, you can't go out, as I've learned, the hard way. You can't go out at 8 a.m. and try to run till noon on, a 15-mile, 20-mile run. Like, that's not, if you're going to try, if you got to do 20 miles, if let's say I had to train for this thing and I was feeling good, didn't injure myself at all, was good to go until the race was like August 4th instead of November 4th. And I had no choice but to get out there. I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning and get the runs in before 9 a.m. If you have to train for those big ones, you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you do. And I love the heat. It's like a sauna. It's like you literally sweat it all out. As long as you have an understanding of electrolytes and your hydration needs, it's not that dangerous, especially as you build up and slowly get used to it. But it feels great, I think. XBI had a violent gap up to the upside. There was let me check the chart out. I saw a nasty one with Chewy today. Yeah, now you look at it, like that was actually, you don't realize the chart because the daily chart kind of is kind of filled in, but yeah, it closed here and then it opened up here. So that's a decent move up, and then it ripped off the open all the way up to here. That's a big move. Let's go to that 1 hour chart to get a better view of it. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. The natural high. Yeah. 77 Minneapolis today, gets down to 53. I'm going to the Jersey Shore, so it'll be, what is it going to be? Like 80s and during the day, and then that night it gets down to, I didn't even know. I just checked because I was talking to my dad yesterday because I'm going to be meeting them out there, and like he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, go in the water. It's gonna be nice and cool, like nice little like almost a cold plunge because out East Coast, like generally the water doesn't get that warm. He's like, I don't know about that. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know about that? The water's usually like 70s or low 70s, upper 60s, which is kind of chilly. Upper 70s and it's not that cold anymore. He's like, no, look at it. I'm like, it's like upper 70s. Like, that's pretty impressive for like the Jersey Shore to be upper 70s. Have you seen the water temperatures in the Keys, the Florida Keys? They're like upper 90s, like 97, 98 water temperature. That's a bath as it is. That's insane. Those XBI buys in the 81 area, that worked good. And this is an example, I think, of like, we had that look where if this thing fell below here, it didn't look great for a period of time, yet it got a little move down. Yet it just kind of felt weird because the market was all pushing higher, everything was going up. So you're like, why? I don't know, unless the market's going to roll over, which maybe it would have, and maybe it could, and who knew at the time? You didn't know. Like, it's like, really, my XBI is about to break down and dump? Like, that's weird. I mean, I guess anything can happen, so don't overthink it, but That's a little fake out right there to the downside. $92 and a 74 dew point. Jeez. Yeah, that's heating up. I mean, today we have the next couple of days we have an excessive heat warning, which is great to see. The weather has just been, it's something that I've always kind of like, back when I lived in Pennsylvania and Connecticut, you kind of had to always check the weather because the summertime, not as much, but generally speaking in the wintertime and the fall and spring, you know, you had to check to see if it was going to rain or if it was going to be cold or if it was going to be sunny or cloudy or whatever, windy, whatever. Here, there, like the past month, there has been none. Like you don't have to check the weather. It's not going to rain. Like we have maybe had one mini thunderstorm over the past like month. It's not going to rain. It's going to be 100 degrees. It's going to be humid, and the sun. There's no guarantee on the sun. It could be sunny. It could kind of be cloudy in the morning, kind of hazy in the morning. Then it gets sunny, and then it gets cloudy again. That's kind of wonky. But either way, it's going to be 100 degrees every day. So it's like you wake up and there's no, I gotta check the weather. What's the weather? No, like there's no checking the weather while taking a shit. And I'm like, no, literally, you just get up. It's the same thing every day. You don't have to worry about it. It's one less thing to think about, which is kind of cool because I've always kind of wanted that. But I'm like, I don't know. I prefer the heat over the cold for sure. But I think about like, you know, sometimes it gets a little bit much with the excessive heat warnings. That seems a little ridiculous how we've had that because they don't do that. Coming from a weather background, because I went to school for this stuff, like they don't do that unless it's a little bit abnormal. So they're not going to drop an excessive, like if it's, you know, it's Austin, Texas, or it's Arizona or wherever you live, right? It's always going to be, you know, hot in the summertime, right? They're not dropping excessive heat warnings if it's 96 or 95. Like, well, that's to be expected, you know, come to the territory. You're up in the hundreds and there's humidity. You got a higher dew point. That's when they'll drop the excessive heat warnings. So it's not just like, oh, it's hot and like, yeah, it's the same. No, the warnings are because then it feels like it's even hotter, whatever heat index values and stuff like that they calculate through all the humidity, dew points, and whatever. But yeah, those warm waters, it feels, that's the thing. Like if we get a hurricane, like you got some freaking hot Gulf waters out on the East Coast. I guess, you know, the thing is it's so rare. It is, you know, maybe not as much the past couple of years, but it's generally pretty rare to get an East Coast landfall north of the Carolinas. So waters are warm, great, you know, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't necessarily mean much because you have to have upper level atmospheric conditions that align for a storm to be able to navigate into those waters and then cut back and hit land up there, that's extremely difficult to do. The stars have to align pretty well. But anything south of the Carolinas, you know, it's not that hard. And the Gulf especially, it's easy money. I mean, anything could form in there and freaking wreak havoc in 2 seconds. Average profit loss coming. That's good to see, man. 50 win rate. That's really good. If that's your average profit and loss at a 50% win rate, like this is where, and easily you can get mentally worried about it, right? And thinking, oh, I gotta be green this week or this month or whatever. But like you have those numbers, you're good. You are good. Run that. And then don't worry about scaling up necessarily right away. Like those things will work there. That'll work itself out over time. But run with that for as long as you feel comfortable. Once you feel like this is like just second nature and those stats are kind of keeping up and you're staying on top of like managing your emotions, managing risk and all that stuff, then you can start to size up. That's like the biggest, that for me has been the hardest thing because I've had good numbers the past couple months, really since May, June, and so far in July, we're green. But the biggest challenge is scaling up. Every time I scale up, almost every single time, the first day that I scale up, I don't know if it's a mental thing or what, almost every single time without fail, that's when we have a big red, that's when we have a red day, which ends up being big because now I'm using bigger size. So just be aware of that. And I think that's the biggest challenge. Everyone wants to scale it up, but there's no rush. There really is no rush. Just sent my Webull order or my Webull history over to TradeZella. chart that up today, but nothing crazy. On the AMD trade, the AMD I mentioned at the beginning, the way beginning, AMD I played short today, believe it or not, because it was a nice square off the open. I played the break under this blue line, and I got my 10% on 2/3 of my contracts, right down to here, and then the rest of them stopped out break even. So it was, small win. That's been the story of this month. If I have to go back through, and the month is going to end for me in about 3 to 4 days. But the story of the month has been super small, or generally speaking, small wins. And then not like losses haven't been insanely large, but on the days that I lose, I tend to lose a couple of times. I take more trades than I probably need to. And then next thing I know, I give back too much of the gains. So it's looking like it's going to be a small green month, unless we have 3 to 4 red days in a row to close us out, which is possible the next 4 days. It's certainly possible. But the maximization of the profits is now the goal, right? So how do I maximize? How do I learn from that? It's really going to be understanding, I think, the bigger picture charts first. And it's very easy to kind of get into this like rhythm, and you're kind of working. All of a sudden, for me, it ends up being like Thursday, Friday, whether it's overconfidence or kind of feeling like, oh, I've already made, I'm like green every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then when you get to Thursday, Friday, for whatever reason, that's when I'm red. I don't know what it is. But I'm thinking back to like trying to understand what it is. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's overconfidence. Maybe it's this like fear of giving back gains, which then makes me kind of being a pussy and taking trades. And I'm taking too many trades on small size. So it's death by 1,000 cuts when I don't need to do that. I can just not trade. But I think the bigger thing was framing myself on the big picture charts, 1 hour and 4 hour and dailies. If I can get that framework, and like, for example, like AMD isn't the best example. Like, there isn't much here. Like AMD, I would say, needs to break down below here, or really want to get up above here for me to be more interested in taking trades up or down on it to give you a better. But like anything in here is not going to be high probability for my setup for momentum, right? Because it's in this kind of consolidation, choppy movement. So, for example, like Apple, now Apple comes back into play. Apple was kind of in this weird, choppy, just up and down. Not nonsense. It is what it is, but it was like kind of choppy. So it wasn't providing clear setups because you had a downtrend on the like past couple of weeks or past 2 weeks inside of a bigger picture uptrend. Do you want to short it? And you could have, but problem was playing that is every time you look to short it for breakdowns, it would bounce right back up. Now, as Apple's popping back up to highs, it's getting back into open waters. It doesn't have as much resistance. It's gone through its choppy consolidation pullback phase. Now it's time for the next leg. And so it's got less holding it back. Kind of the same thing with Tesla, although there's earnings coming up, but Tesla's the same thing. Tesla's now breaking out to the upside. So now it's got some free range potential to the upside and more clean price action versus in here, not as clean. Maybe there's something in there momentum wise, but I'm not as interested. If you're playing, dip buys, you're playing resistance sells, then that's one thing, but I'm looking for the momentum on it. So I don't want to play the chop. So it just comes down to being, and it's stuff, I know this stuff. It's not like it's complicated stuff. It's, it. And it just comes down to understanding that and then just not trying to force anything when, you don't have the stars aligning, $75% profit in long term. Yeah, that's a solid strat. Yeah. If you don't need the money, let's say, for example, you're making $100 a week, as an example. $100 a week that you're pulling out or profits, or that you have net profits, and you're like, well, realistically, like you don't want to scale up too fast. And most people, I would recommend that you don't just scale an account like percentage wise all the time. You'll get there, but like, what I mean by is, let's say you have a $1,000 account or $10,000 account, whatever. Let's just say $1,000 to make it easy, right? Let's say you make 10%. Okay, now you have 1,100. people think, okay, well, now if I'm going to risk 1%, the same percentages, if I can make 10% again, maybe next month, right? Say in a month you make 10%. Next month you make 10%. If you think like that, you're like, well, you keep scaling up. But there's nothing wrong with trading the same sizing and making $100 again. Do that 2-3 months in a row or 2-3 weeks in a row to prove to yourself that you can do it again and again and again. And if that's what you can do, then eventually, and then as that occurs, pull some of the money out, pull half the money out, pull 75% of the money out, right? And then as that occurs, you can then start to size up in 2 months, 3 months. Now you can go at it and up your size a little bit, so that now that 10% becomes, I don't know, $125, and and so on. But yeah, if I had to pick one of the biggest downfalls of my past has been not being defensive with the money that I've already made, because you can make it, but you can give it all back very, very easily, just the same way, if not easier. So making sure you don't give it back, or at least a portion of it you don't give back, and be more defensive, while you can still put that money into either a high interest savings or into a dividend ETF nowadays that will return you nicely. You can feel like your money is at work for you, building a long-term position, building longer term wealth, without having the excessive risk of being actively managing it every single day. Short of you, Palantir, and SQ. Those are interesting stocks because those are all on the verges of decent moves, or at least breakout wise. Palantir right here is kind of consolidating above a breakout level that is on the daily chart. Like, this looks pretty interesting, noting how we've seen some strength in the small caps and in growth. So that is interesting one on a swing perspective that I'm actually currently positioned in with a stop loss below 1627. Day trade wise though, it got overextended. It was up like 7-8% at one point today. Unity as well, it kind of had this big pop. Unity is an interesting stock. I was looking at Unity and saying to myself, if the earnings season Unity could be post earnings. The problem is that it might have a big reaction post earnings, and the chart could be all messed up. But I look at this chart. They got some partnerships with Apple, with the whole AI stuff going on. This is an interesting stock that I think could be a really interesting swing trade. Up. Not saying it's going back to $100, but maybe up into the 60s, maybe $70 is not unrealistic to think about for Unity, right? The thing was up over 200. Maybe it gets back up to, I don't know, the IPL level, 65. This this dip right here, 73. Maybe those are some spots to watch on that. The chart looks interesting. It's got momentum on the upside, got higher lows going. It's getting above, again, like we were talking about before, it's getting above this really big volume zone, right? It's now up into open waters, or a lot less descending volume, right? So earnings though is coming up in a couple weeks, August 2nd. So I don't want to hold that thing into earnings, but from just a shares trade perspective, it could be something to keep an eye on, because it broke out to the upside. Now, if it back tests as it did and holds around like the mid to lower 40s as support, builds a higher low in here, like, this looks good for upside. We'll see. We will see. But these are good. These are fun stocks, because when you get good days, they can go crazy, and when you get bad days, they can be down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. Easy money. Easily. Upstart. Upstart is in. Yeah, Upstart's going to fill this, or it's on pace to now enter the gap and fill that up to 71 now, or 70 into the low 70s, mid 70s. The risk-on stocks are coming back to life. I think you're seeing people come back into these things, and I think a lot of big money is coming back into them too, because they're underweight. They're underweight all these things, and if we're in a bull market, well, they can't just be in Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Meta, and shit. They got to be in other stuff too. So that is where you're seeing some pretty big moves, some pretty big squeezes, some pretty big just week after week moves here. ARK had a good day too. What's ARK at? Yeah, 2.3%. ARK keeps on grinding. Yeah, I mean, to diversify it all the way is, I think ARK would be the way to do it, because they have Unity. They got a bunch of those things, so you can take that as if you wanted to buy into the growth stuff now. Ideally, I'd like a pullback, but maybe we don't get one. I don't know. Roku. I haven't looked at Roku in a while. Yeah, Roku is another one. Trying to build some higher lows as of late. It's pretty volatile. I mean, you could swing shares of Roku, and make 30%, with risking 10, whatever, 15. The stock is by itself, and it's got earnings coming up too. So again, that's why I don't think initiating new swing positions with earnings is a good idea. Unless your plan is to sell prior to earnings, or your plan is to have a massively wide stop loss, take profit. You're looking at a massive trade. So where earnings volatility won't matter, or shouldn't matter at least. Alternative platforms. Thinkorswim would be probably one of the better ones, I would think. You would think it would be one of the better ones. They've had some updates, I feel like, as of late too. If you're having a problem with that, I mean, Webull is what I use a lot, but like, not everyone loves it. I know E-Trade is solid. Also, what's the other one? Interactive is up there too. Interactive's compared to a Thinkorswim is not going to be as clean of a look on the layouts and stuff, is the only concern. If you were not in the US, I would say Interactive would be the best bet. But Trade, what is it called? I'm blanking on the name of the broker for whatever reason. But when I think of it, it'll come to me at some point. But yeah, E-Trade could be a good idea or a good alternative. Webull could be in a test. I don't know if you're on Thinkorswim, if you're on, that's one of the better platforms people use all the time for day trading and even whatever, and active trading and stuff. So bought Roku at the close on Friday and sold today. Nice. Shopify is another one too that's been a beast. Oh yeah, what is it? DraftKings at? Dude, DraftKings, look at DraftKings. Don't tell me, I mean, I could totally see it. DraftKings wants to go for more. Jeez, it's looking like it's flagging right here. Go to the 1 hour. Yeah, I mean, just gotten pressure upon this level. I mean, why not? Just keeps going and going and going. Keeps squeezing. You're getting now, like, you have these big volume, right? On this move, volume's coming down. And it's kind of just in this consolidation mode. And now you're looking for a break over 31.70. That could send it to new highs. I'll put an alert there in case I want to look at it tomorrow or whenever if it ever breaks. If it breaks. Yeah, you know what? Verizon and T-Mobile, AT&T got destroyed today. Destroyed. Look at Verizon's chart. Go to the weekly chart. Look at this. This is a stock that, like, if you have been a Verizon investor, yeah, you're getting paid a dividend, 7.5%. But my God, it's not a super vol. I mean, it's cut in half. It's got cut in half from the highs of 2019, 2020 or so. But yeah, I don't know what the whole story is back here. Either way, like, if you're looking at more of a range-bound stock, you're getting back down towards the lower end of the range. So the risk reward starts to become good if you got to pay a nice dividend. It's interesting. AT&T as well. Look at AT&T's chart. This looks a lot more concerning because it's breaking below all these levels. It's not really range bound. It's breaking below. Like, it's breaking down below these spots. So these don't look good. Although if you're just looking for deals and you're like, oh, AT&T, same thing, 7.66% dividend as of right now is what trade Trading View is telling me. I don't know if I would invest in them, but given the amount of other opportunities that are out there these days. But they're getting hit. They are getting hit. Tell you that. What about Target? Dude, Target, man. Target does not look strong at all. It's still down under 0.5% today. This chart just looks, it's like the picture perfect downside setup, I think. You get this big move down, right? Consolidate for a couple of months, break to new lows. Now you're consolidating for a couple of weeks. Underneath the prior support, that's now resistance. Oh, it's super clean. It's like, okay, if it gets above 138, stop out. And if not, we can have a nice clean downside move. So this is another one that's a decent short idea. If you were looking for a hedge, a market hedge, and maybe let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. If we want to throw a little target hedge on the portfolio here, on the Robinhood, I would go with like a put debit spread. Let's see, and I'd go out for some time too. Let's just see if they would make any sense. Put debit spread. I'd go out to like, at least August 25th, maybe even September. Maybe September 15th to be safe. 60 days. Let's see. So it's currently at 130. Yeah, so I would go 130 or 135. That's a good one. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. It's not at all. I mean, I think it's a good idea for even a portfolio downside hedge. Like, why not? You're going to risk 225 or you're going to risk 275, and your take profit would be 225, roughly speaking. Or your max profit would be 225. If target is below 130 by the expiration date, boom. If it gets there before, if it goes for, if target dumps and it's like, 120 something, you'll be pretty close to max profit on this. But, it's more so time on your side, let it play out. Something to think about. I mean, it's not like a crazy trade here, but the probability is decent. And then you stop out. If it goes over 138, you're out, stop out. So if I'm thinking about this right now, I may even take a stab. Let's see, September. Go to August 25th. What does that look like? What does August 25th look like? On the same. Let's do a width. If you did a width of 5. A width of 1 is fine too. It doesn't really matter. Let's see. The 131 by 130s. It's like 50 cents. Now the spreads are huge on this one. So maybe not the best. Maybe not the best. September 15th is probably safe. 15th September is safe. Safer. It's almost like you're risking 1 to make 1 almost. So I don't know. It's a decent idea. Market's weak. This hasn't even been respecting the market. But if the market's weak, one could hypothesize that this has been one of the weaker stocks. This will catch sellers first. People go off sell target first because it's been weak. I don't know. If we go over to XRT, the retail ETF. Yeah, Target does not look like XRT. XRT is just kind of in this consolidation phase. Target's like, XRT is this, right? Target's like this. Target did this. So Target looks a lot weaker than XRT, which is good. It's got relative weakness in the sector. Only thing is, right, when is their earnings? So if you were to play that, when is their earnings? Because I'm not holding the earnings. Oh, you got time. Yeah, maybe not. August 16th. So yeah, if you're gonna do that, if I was gonna take that, I would put the expiration would have to be prior to that. So August 11th. Doesn't really buys you 25 days, which is not terrible, but it's not a lot of time in the grand scheme. So you can play these 135 by 130s out 25 days. And then this is going to be trading at 290 roughly. So your max profit is 210. Your max loss is 290. It's not bad. It's not bad to hedge as a hedge. So I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily think that's a terrible play. Invest into T. Yeah, I remember back in the day too, and I first got started into everything. I was like, yeah, you know, this AT&T, man, looks like, I remember my dad was talking about it, his dividend. Well, this looks pretty good. Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. I'm going to take one of these on target as a additional portfolio hedge, just to kind of hedge it through a couple different sectors. These are very small. It's not like I'm risking a ton of money here. But let's see if I can get filled at 290 into the close. If I can, just on one of these, that would be awesome. Oh, here we go again with this. I got to freaking verify the account. Dude. I'll do that on the side. The stupid, that's the one thing that it's good, I guess, two-factor authentication, but the stupid authenticator app is like a pain in my ass. So, okay, I'll put that through. The order is placed. We have 2 minutes to get filled. I may adjust it by like 5 cents, but we'll see if we can get filled. I'll adjust it by 5 cents up. I'm not going to chase anything though. We will see. We will see. Just because now I would have a tech hedge, I'd have real estate, and I'd have a retail. So not like it's huge, but these are all like little mini hedges just kind of spread across a couple different sectors. And maybe, just maybe, it'll fill. But man, that chart looks good. Looks good. And especially if we were to drop down on target down to like 125, if it were to clear out these lows, I mean, you're probably going to be looking at very close to max profit no matter what if it hits that. Even if it happens like next week, you know, I just wouldn't really care to hold something like that through an earnings report. So that's the only thing I would say. Target, yep. That's what we're looking at. But yeah, I mean, the charts are looking nasty. Does not look good. Doesn't look like it's going to fill. I can always try it again tomorrow if I really want it, but it wasn't a massive deal to get in or not. 30 seconds. Market's about to close in 10 seconds. And it's closed. Alrighty. So SPY finished the day down or up 0.35. Qs up 0.93. IWM up 1.09. Dow, DIA up 0.2. Look at this DIA weekly chart. Oh my God. Dude. Just it's primed. She's primed. She's primed. Why? Because it's just been tight. Like we had this big move late last year into early this year. Oh no, that was just late last year. And it hasn't done much since. It's just, I had this little dip, but it's just been priming. This is going to be, I mean, if we're looking for a continuation of bull market, man, it would make sense logically to see the Dow get some strength here. And then maybe the Qs kind of chill out for a bit. SPY kind of just do its thing. But the Dow kind of see some surge here, and then we get this kind of rotation into kind of defensive stuff. Then it goes back risk on, then it goes to tech, and yeah, these rotations back and forth. If this is going to continue, didn't play anything, had a power outage. Oh, that sucks. Yeah, I had one trade on AMD. today. This target did not fill, so that will be canceled. Had one on AMD. I can look at target tomorrow. Maybe I'll get in tomorrow or Wednesday. We'll see. But I would, whatever I'm going to do, it's going to be prior to the earnings report, which is in like a couple of weeks. So, peace. Yeah, thanks for the happy birthday message. I mean, that is on Wednesday, but to be honest, like, it's just another day. Check out the dollar didn't move much. The 10 years down 0.65 today. Yeah. So in terms of tomorrow, let me just look around these charts. Tomorrow we're looking at, I'm gonna go to the 1 hour charts and look at my trade list and see what looks decent for potentially tomorrow. Not liking a big wick on that SPY at the end of the day. Not a great look. Apple, pretty freaking strong. That would be like an upside consideration tomorrow. Tesla's got earnings on Wednesday, so I don't know, although it is strong. So that would be upside consideration tomorrow for momentum. Microsoft, like, what is that? Not much. Like, this is just a jumbled mess. So I don't know. Leave it alone. NVIDIA, it's been pretty strong. If anything, I would say upside, but AMD also looks pretty strong there. But nothing. These charts don't look amazing. Amazon, to be honest, this looks like a downside trade back below there, but I don't know. Even it's in an uptrend, so overall, wouldn't want to do that. Meta can get up over 315 or over 312, 313. I'd consider it, but not really. So IWM could be consideration tomorrow for upside to avoid like the large cap stuff, because IWM would, if it gets up into this area, stays up here, could be an upside. Other than that, though, I mean, these aren't like super primed looks for now. Of course, things can happen, change overnight, but we'll see. Don't get too hungover. Yeah, I will not be drinking on Wednesday. No, I'm honestly kind of pissed that I can't run, or at least I shouldn't be running, or else I'll not re-aggravate. I could do it. It's just that then it's going to add an extra, 2 or extra week of recovery time. I don't need to, that I would prefer to get back at it in August and just go hard once August begins. BAC tomorrow. It's going to be good to kind of see some of the banks. Let's be honest, like this is all, it's all almost a gamble. The talk from the Fed's been positive on the banks. They're not really too concerned. At least that's what they're saying. How much does that matter? Overall, this is like, you've got nice higher lows kind of building in, right? So this is kind of good. If this doesn't come out good and you get a crackdown and we start to break down below, like, I don't know, 28, 2760 area. If we start to break down below there, not a good look. That's actually looking like a good short setup. But if this continues, 30 plus, 31 is the next spot to watch after that. $31 will be this resistance right here, 30 or 30.90 or so. That's a spot that I'd have a line or to keep in mind. But yeah, if it gets above these levels, back over 30 on BIC, looks like it wants to, at a minimum, like try to get back up into the low 30s that it was hanging out at. These stocks don't always, anything can happen, but they don't generally provide huge moves off of earnings. They could give you something, but they've actually had some big ones. This one right here wasn't huge. So I'm not too excited for some of these moves, if I had to be honest. Like, I'm just kind of thinking that this earnings could be like I don't want to say a nothing burger, but like kind of a dud where like stuff kind of just screws people over, right? If you're playing calls and puts, just kind of ends up not having these huge range, and we just kind of just chill and we don't get these massive moves, and then it screws a lot of option buyers. So option sellers could be doing pretty well, but option buyers might be in a tough spot if you don't get those big moves. We'll see. Maybe we get big moves. I don't know. There's always surprises here. There's always a stock or two or three or more that'll surprise over earnings season and have big moves up or down. And then everyone's like, oh, wow, look at that. And then, a lot of other stuff just it's usually the ones that you're not expecting, the ones that you are expecting, and the ones that usually don't. It's kind of what we're looking at. Drunk on the live stream. I did that a while back where there was this live stream a while ago, like maybe a year or two ago, where I did hit like a couple of shots, and little did I realize they were doubles. And I don't drink very much, actually don't drink really much at all. Even back then, it was maybe one drink a week, essentially on average. And yeah, I was ripping two double shots. And by the end of that stream, I didn't think I was going to be drunk because I thought these were small. It was like those like tall shot glasses. But I poured one of those into a smaller one that was like a normal size. I'm like, oh my God, it's double. Yeah, and I was 100% drunk. I took a nap after it was that bad. Yeah. Now, the only thing that I would do, I would consider, which I haven't not also done in a long time, I would consider edibles. But for a stream, that would be funny. But also, like, I don't know, maybe it's dangerous because I don't know what I would say. I also haven't. If I don't get like insanely high, then it's not a big deal. But if I did, you honestly, like, there's no knowing what I would say. I've done some stuff that I regret / also completely have like forgotten that I even did, while like rock out of my mind, because it does not take a lot to get me when it comes to edibles. So you remember that stream? That's funny. That's a throw. I don't know how long ago that was. That was a while ago. That was in the old apartment, so it was a while back. But yeah, I haven't done any of that stuff. Nothing against necessarily doing it, but I just feel like if I'm gonna do it, it's on a vacation. It's not gonna be while I'm like trying to focus. Like if I'm gonna do edibles, not that it destroys me. Like I think I sleep well. They say, the data says that it's not good for your sleep. Like weed or drinking, like, is not good for your sleep if you have it back half of the day. That's what they say. I don't know. I've noticed it for sure. Drinking, not that I drink a lot, but even just like 1 or 2 drinks, like I can tell my sleep is shit the next like day or two. And fun fact, I've never been like drunk. I've never thrown up from drinking. I've never been like drunk where like I couldn't, like that live stream. Yes, I had taken 2 shots, but like 2 shots is not going to destroy me. 3 maybe. 2 was not going to do that. I have never been like drunk to the point where like I can't function or whatever. Never. Little tipsy, sure. And I hate the feeling. I don't feel good. I don't like it. So yeah. But edibles, man, edibles on vacation where you got nothing to worry about, just chilling, you have nothing to focus on. That's a difference. Hanging out, like, if you want to have fun here and there, I'll take them up. Just do it. Half people on Wall Street are on drugs. That's true. I'm sure that's very true. Helps you get to sleep, but when you wake up in the morning, you'll feel, yeah, that's what I feel for sure. Whenever I've done edibles and whatever, I don't smoke either, so it's only been edibles. If I've ever done weed, it's only been edibles. But yeah, it's and here it's technically like illegal, but they have like all these other like hemp derived kind of workarounds. So the stuff is the same thing in my opinion. Because I used to live in Massachusetts for a summer, literally, where you could walk. This is like back years ago when like we was like just starting to get legalized in a couple states, and Massachusetts was legal for like a year or two. And we could walk. I could walk on this trail from my apartment to the dispensary within literally like a half an hour, not even, which was nuts. So those were the days. Those were the days. But yeah, that's what I would say. Like I've generally gotten that, like I go down, like if I'm high at all, I'm not going to be able to stay up longer than like an hour or two. If it's during the midday and you have like a, I don't know, Diet Coke or something with caffeine during the day, I can do it. Like I can stay awake. But if I'm having edible at night, dude, I'm not lasting more than an hour. Like after it hits, I'm out in an hour. Paranoid. I can see the paranoid part. I can see that. I totally could. If anything, weed's a whole lot better. That's my experience. I would say that is for sure. But it's just like anything else, right? If you have, it's just moderation, and also like there's addictive personalities. Like if you have, like, for example, my girlfriend like has an addictive personality, right? She when she does something or when she starts something, like she can't stop, or she'll get addicted to the feeling or whatever it's giving her. And so and she's had times where she's come off to prove that she's not addicted anymore. Okay, right? But like that's her personality. I don't have that. I don't. I've never felt like that with alcohol. Never felt like that with weed. Never felt like that with just other things like even caffeine. If you right now, I am operating on no caffeine on average. On the average day, no caffeine. I even get like the zero caffeine like Diet Cokes if I'm gonna have a Diet Coke one day. Like that's what I'll drink now if I have it at night. I'll have sometimes occasionally during the day, but it's like 50 milligrams or less, maybe. And it's not coffee, it's not energy drink. I'm like literally sometimes I'll have those ice plus caffeine drinks. Those things they're good, and I'll have like a half a can, so it's like 35 milligrams at max, and that's not even every day. I've just gotten to the point where like I used to be like kind of cracked out on caffeine where I would need it a lot every day, but I've like just wanted to like stop, and not stop, but just kind of wane off of it. I'm like, yeah, I'm not like some people get addicted to that too, just like anything else. Like they quit drinking, they quit weed, they quit whatever because they know it's bad for them because they are, addictive, and they go crazy with it. And then they go and then caffeine is their drug of choice. No, that's fine. It's better, right, for you. Much better than probably both of those things. But I mean, just like anything else, you can be addicted to that. And then, how many people can't function without their morning coffee? I'm just someone who like, I don't want to feel like I need something to function, if you know what I mean. I don't know. It's an interesting, weird way. And I guess that's just my personality. That's just me. Everyone's different when it comes to that stuff. I know my roommate in college was funny with that, with weed. He would get so paranoid about it. He would always like throw up. If he ever smoked, he'd always throw up. And it's like, oh my God, like some people just can't handle it. I don't know, but I've never smoked, so I don't know what I would do. He's on edibles. I think he's been fine on edibles. Creative made me stop being a weekend drinker, zero and a dryer. Dude, what I will say is running made me like, not that I had the desire, but like you could throw down a fat margarita and I would hit it up. Like I would take down a fat margarita at like Chuy's or whatever Mexican place around here. That I could take down with a meal, and like those are enjoyable. Like if I'm gonna pick a drink of choice, it's not gonna be something I don't like. A margarita, yeah. Is it like for pussies? For some, maybe, I don't know. It tastes good. Most other alcohol to me tastes bad. So like margarita with the sugar, I'm sure it tastes loaded up with sugar, but like it tastes good. So I like it. But outside of that, like I have no desire. Even that, I have no desire. None. Like once I started running, and my body just kind of craved certain things, and it would crave like. Just like, I don't know, like it started to crave meat. I started to crave like burgers more and steaks more and like potatoes and rice. Just like it just started to crave avocados, like for a fat source. Like avocados don't taste like anything, but like for whatever reason, am almost addicted to avocados now. Not really, but I just love them. I'm like, just put them on my in my like rice bowl tonight. I'm going to make some pulled chicken with some rice and avocados. Oh my God. Like I'm just so excited for that. Like it's going to be so good. But I don't know, dude. Running and lifting, I don't think makes it feel like that. But running, I definitely, once I started running, I really recognized like it wasn't even like I have no desire. Because I never really did have a desire to drink. I had a negative desire. Like if you put a glass of water and a margarita in front of me, I would generally prefer the margarita because it tastes better. I would prefer the margarita because my body would say no. Like you need the water more than the margarita. We don't want that. Like that's just like a instinctual like reaction from the body. Take too much, just like anything. It takes too much and it's not good. Even caffeine, you can get cracked out on that stuff, and My brother just he messaged me. He's like, "Yo, like check this out. This pre-workout I bought." He buys this 400 milligram caffeine pre-workout. I'm like, dude, and you're going to the gym at like 8 p.m. Like, holy fuck! Like you're not. No wonder you're not gonna sleep. So, quarter gummy. No, that's me. If I do any edibles, like a quarter of a gummy, like I have to take a nibble of a gummy. It's like almost a joke. And I have to gauge the reaction there. Because if I have a full one, destroyed. There was this one time I was home in Georgia at my parents' house. When was this? This must have been like around the holidays of like last year or like something like that. Maybe 2 years ago. And my brother, he's hilarious. Like he goes, we go to this like dispensary or whatever, this like shop to get like edibles, and we go in there. I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, do you have an account? And I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't live here. Like, so he goes, I don't think so. And then he gives him his phone number, and they're like, oh yeah, you got like 100 points, so you got all this point. He's like, what the fuck? You come here all the time. But we got these edibles, and I kid you not, it was like 20. They were supposed to be 25 milligrams of Delta 8. If you know what that is, you know that's just what it is. Okay, great. And I have had experience in the past. I know what Delta 8 is. I know what 25 milligrams is. I know how much I generally can take and what that will do to me, depending upon how my tolerance is, if I've had any recently and whatnot. We had like a half each. I kid you not. It was the most high I had ever been. It was the night that Logan Paul fought, was it Tyron Woodley? And it was that night. So we had it on the TV and we were watching it. And I remember sitting there. I was freaking out because like when he knocked him out, it was like, you know, a pretty insane knockout. It was the freakiest thing in my head. I was losing my shit because I thought the guy died, and I was like, holy crap, he killed him right in the middle on TV. It was like whatever he bought, they were potent. They were more than I had ever been used to, because it should not have done what it did to me. So that's my funny story. Running will definitely define your water. Well, I mean, you need electrolytes and water, but also it's not even that. Like I'm pretty good about my hydration, but yeah, like I think it was more so just like the body was like that sugary drink just does not look appealing to me right now versus the water. I'm not too lightweight, but I can get faded. I am, when it comes to that, I'm pretty lightweight, I would say, for sure. Edibles is strong. Yeah, that's why people don't like doing edibles, because you have to wait like an hour for them to kick in, and then you're like, you could have done too much or you didn't do enough, and then it's like you got to do more. So that's why people like to smoke, and so they can get the reaction pretty quick, you know, whatever. But on that note, I'm gonna wrap things up. We're gonna come back, hang out on Wednesday, and then Friday. I'll be peacing out on Saturday morning, but I will be here Wednesday and Friday for streams like normal. That's the plan. Hope to see you guys